Forever and ever. We are in Siman 244. Labor performed by a non-Jews for a Jews. We're going to discuss Be'ezrat Hashem in the Jewish law, the laws of Shabbat, about very interesting laws about partnership with a non-Jew, or if a non-Jew wants to perform labor for a Jew, and so forth and so on. And we dedicate an historic class for all the Israeli soldiers and the security forces. May Hashem bring them back home safely. Amen. Amen. So we asked the other day a question. We've learned that when we keep Shabbat, not only we need to keep Shabbat, it's also our animals, people, our family around us, and the ger and so forth and so on. Now, we ask, what if I or can I give a non-Jew tasks on Shabbat that it's prohibited to me? Okay, for example, go ahead, take my car or take your car and buy this for me. I'm not driving on Shabbat, he's driving. He's going to use his own money. I can pay him after Shabbat. This is something permitted, yes or no? In general, we said that we have to rest on Shabbat. And the people around us, or everybody that works for us, needs to rest on Shabbat. Includes our animals, our inanimate object like car and stuff like that. Now, what if I leave a laundry at a dry cleaning on Friday, and he says, "Come Sunday to take it," and he's open on Shabbat, and I know he's going to do the job on Shabbat for me. He's dry cleaning my own clothing on Shabbat. Is that permitted? I have a contractor building a house for me, and he wants to work on Shabbat. I can't stop him, or I can tell him, "Hey, you don't work on Shabbat." Shabbat? What's Shabbat? It's the Sabbath. Sabbath. What's that mean? I'm working 7 days a week. I want to finish it. Can I force him? Can I force him? Can I put it on the contract? Or should I? Or I have to, or I don't have to? All these kind of questions we're going to discuss. So let's start with the clothing. I think we mentioned that in regards to leaving your car at the body shop, right? So it's similar to it. The Halacha says, some poskim rule that it is permissible to bring clothes to a commercial laundering establishment owned and run by a non-Jew. Although it is obvious that the clothes will be laundered on Shabbat, this is so even if the garments are obviously Jewish garments. People see that he's cleaning up tzitzit or a talit or other clothing that represent the Jewish using. It is permitted, since most people cannot identify the specific owner of the garments. Other poskim disagreed and ruled that it is forbidden to give in any garments any garments that are obviously Jewish, such as a talit or rabbinical frock, the frock, that long jacket. Okay, if they are scheduled to be laundered on Shabbat, okay, one who wishes to follow the more lenient opinion has a basis on which to rely, and in particular in our days when such a job is always arranged on the basis of kablanut. Remember the term kablanut we've learned? Kablanut, contractor. I'm giving you this project, finish it. He's doing it on his own pace. Okay. Some poskim rule that if someone brings his laundry to the cleaner on Friday afternoon and tells them that he wishes to pick up the clean garments on Sunday, it is considered as if he told them directly to clean the clothing on Shabbat, since that is the only way the laundry will possibly be ready on time. And thus, it is forbidden. In case of a great need, it is possible to do this anyway, relying on the poskim who permitted it. So we've learned here that you can bring it, as long as before Shabbat, Better not to say anything in time if it's really needed. You tell them, can I pick it up on Sunday? Bottom line, you can do it hours before Shabbat, and you can do it early morning and Sunday or Saturday night. It's up to him. Even if it's obvious that he's going to do it on Shabbat. Okay? Because I gave him the choice. He chooses to do it on Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol nihya b'dbaro. Thank you. Huh? First of all, not only for that reason, it's preferable. So you give parnasa to a Jew. That's number one. So that should be preferable, okay? But in case that, in case that you know that he was not going to be ready, it's permitted. There's some lenient opinion saying that even he can tell him, I want to pick him up on Shabbat, on Sunday. Okay? You mentioned that, but some of the halachot here that we're going to learn are not so common in Israel. Why? Because you almost don't have a non-Jew partner in Israel. Here is very common to have. Huh?
You almost do or you don't?
You don't.
You don't.
You don't. Okay? And so the next halachot that we'll talk about partnership with a non-Jew, it's not very common in Israel. The vast majority, well, Hashem are Jewish, so it's a bit different.
So was this specifically about a non-Jewish dry cleaner?
Yes. If this is a Jew, and that we know that he works on Shabbat, we're not supposed to give him anything. We're not supposed to give him the clothing, otherwise is accessory for, breaking Shabbat. We are. Cooperating with that. So, you remind me of Halacha. There's a question in the Halacha about eating in kosher places. Okay, for example. So one promise you, and you can check that all the ingredients that you're using is kosher, 100% kosher. The products are kosher. Everything is kosher. The only problem, it doesn't have a certificate of kosher. Why? Because it says, and this is common in Israel. He says, you know what, they don't give me a certificate. Why don't they? Because I open on Shabbat. But I bet you can check it out, go ask the chef, open the refrigerator, the freezer, you won't find. I'm a great believer. There is a picture here of the Baba Sali, Rabbi Milubavitch, all the set of rabbis. Usually they have pictures of rabbis and the world. I'm a very traditional person. I mean, I believe in Hashem, but Parnasa, I have a lot of debt. I have to open on Shabbat. This is on his own. He decides that if he works on Shabbat, so he can pay his debt or whatever reason. So the question is, can I eat there? He is using only kosher products. And he tell you know what? On Shabbat, you know who works here? Non-Jews. I insist on Shabbat and holidays that I'm open and non-Jews working. They can work on Shabbat. Can I eat there?
No.
Absolutely not. We can't. That's the very reason we didn't get on. The Mashgiach cannot go there and check. It's Shabbat, right? And so how people eventually eating in hotels, kosher hotels. Passover, Shabbat, and all that. What? You're pointing at someone.
Go ahead and answer it. You're the one who's done it.
So there's ways, of course. How are we doing it here? We're eating here in the shul on Shabbat. And there's a mashgiach here on Shabbat.
There you go. He gives you the answer. You don't.
So what's the main difference? We don't cook on Shabbat. They are cooking on Shabbat. Okay, they're cooking on Shabbat. When you cook on Shabbat, let's say I cooked, I boiled eggs. Okay, boiled a few eggs, hard eggs. Can I eat them on Shabbat? Did he make the eggs non-kosher? No, the eggs are kosher. The act was prohibited. So after Shabbat, it depends if it was intentionally or not intentionally. Everybody can eat from it except the guy that did it. Okay? There's more halachot into it, but it doesn't. It's not disqualifying the food. The food is kosher. The problem is you cooked it on Shabbat. Because you cooked Shabbat, the penalty is you can't eat on Shabbat, and beside the other Torah law that you transgress, and yeah.
The hotels, and this is a good question in the sense that the hotel often is owned by a Jew, although it runs under, say, a flag of some hotel chain, but it's owned by a Jew. So you may have non-Jews in the kitchen, and if it's a nice hotel, they're going to cook you a steak on it. You order, you go and you want this. It's going to be cooked. It's going to, they're not going to. So how do they, if the Jew is profiting from the work being done on the shop?
Okay, so it's prohibited.
But he's got Mahadran.
No, all those who have kashrut, all those who have kosher certificate, they're not cooking on Shabbat. They can warm the food in a permitted way.
All the food's warm.
You can heat up schnitzel, but it's permitted. And when we go there, Be'ezrat Hashem, we'll learn what kind of food it's permitted, what's not permitted. If it's dry, if it's liquidish, if it's mixed. Okay, this is its own department. Bottom line, make it easy for you. You just search and look for a certificate of kashrut, a reliable one. Those who carrying them will put it right in front of you. They making a lot of efforts to have it. Those who cheating or trying to confuse you will put it in the very back. So one look, and then you see Rabbanut, the rabbinical kosher, and you see who is this, and it's a name you never heard of. They do that all the time. So if it's under a reliable supervision, you have nothing to worry about. I don't want to say nothing to worry about, but you have less worries. Okay? Because even with a certificate of kashrut, you don't really know what's really going in the kitchen. And I was there, and I was a mashgiach for many years. Okay, so it's not, the whole thing is not so pashut. It's not simple, and this is why I don't like to eat outside almost. I like to eat at home. I know what I'm cooking, and I know how I'm doing it. Even with the ingredients, with the spices, you know how many, I don't want to discuss you know how many legs of roaches are grinded with the spices you get? The best, because they don't really check tons of, what do you call it, I don't know, spices or black pepper, for example. Randomly they check 1 or 2 boxes or sack, and that's it. So the best way to go, best method, really the best, and it's healthier, just grind it at home. Whatever you do, less for the whole year. Just buy the regular, make sure that it doesn't have in it any insects, and then grind it in a ground coffee grinder, and that's it. You know, the food you'll see will taste much better. Okay, it's healthier. Yeah, someone to ask something. It's not our topic, but go ahead.
I just have a question. What is it called? The certificate is called a
Teudat kashrut. Teudat kashrut.
So we went into this ice cream place once when we were with Yoni, my son, and he was looking for Teudat. And it was an ice cream place, so obviously they're not, well, I don't think they're cooking, but he didn't see it, and he talked to the guy, and Yoni said, we got to go, we can't eat here.
It's open on Shabbat, right.
So even for that, you can't, because they're doing work on Shabbat.
Right. So we don't want to support them for being open on Shabbat. Nonetheless, all the ingredients we show you, it's very simple. It's just ice cream. Everything. Sometimes I went to a place. We were looking for a place to eat one of my vacations, and they have a certificate of kashrut. So, but something smells fishy because it was in the back, and I know the trick. So I look, and it was a nice certificate, but it was only for the pita, for the pitot. Nothing about the shawarma, the falav, nothing.
Wow.
But you see, the title is big. You know, like they're cheating us on the supermarket. when you have a title that says olive oil. It's pretty good price. You look inside olive oil mixed with canola. And it'd be 90% canola and maybe 10%. But what do you see first? Olive oil. You know,
So
you have to be careful.
So you mentioned the cooking that's done here on Shabbat. Is that good? Or?
No cooking is done on Shabbat. It's pre-cooked. It's pre-cooked before.
Pre-cooked. Okay.
No cooking. No one can cook on Shabbat. It's not permitted. Unless someone is sick and there is a permitted way to do specific food for the sick people. Other than that, no one is cooking on Shabbat. Okay. If someone wishes to engage non-Jews to build a house or to harvest a field, and that building site or field is in an area frequented by Jews on Shabbat days. It talks about a case that you want to build a house or harvest a field, either in the Jewish neighborhood or outside of the Eruv or far away. What's the difference? It's permitted or not permitted. Who cares if it's in the Eruv, in the Jewish neighborhood, or outside of a Jewish neighborhood? What would matter? Huh?
More sign.
What do you mean sign?
More sign.
Ma?
More.
Marit ayin. More sign. They're saying it like it's a singer, Morrison. Marit ayin, or say Marisayin. Okay, I got you. I'm sorry, it's my bad. So you're right, it's Marisayin. It means it's the onlooker, right? Those who look and sees, hey, it means it's permitted. I didn't know if you do, so I can do it myself. So the Halacha says, it is forbidden to allow those non-Jews to build or harvest on Shabbat, even if they were hired on the basis of kablanut. Contractors can do, on their own pace. If they would perform their labor on Shabbat, the passerby might suspect that these workers were hired to work specifically on Shabbat and not on the basis of kablanut. And you think it's a joke? There is a synagogue here that was built on Shabbat and Yom Tov. The whole week, they didn't do any work. On Shabbat and Yom Tov, including Yom Kippur. Gil just came in. He used to go to this synagogue. I don't know if he's still going there, but he used to go to this synagogue. You know which synagogue I'm talking about, right? Was built on Shabbat. Some people told me that, I thought it's okay because it's for the sake of a mitzvah. I mean, they didn't know. They don't know halacha. They're very secular. They're little,
They also stop for Shabbat.
right? But he got, I don't know, probably some people that volunteer their own workers, that the whole Shabbat, they're free. They don't go to their project. So he let them, it's here in the neighborhood. Yeah. The same rule applies where one hires non-Jews to refurbish one's house or to make repairs on it. One may not allow the workers to continue their activities on Shabbat. If someone was having a house built for him and allowed the workers to continue on Shabbat days, although it is forbidden, it is proper for all people to refrain from ever entering that house. Some poskim rule that if a store was built in a manner involving the desecration of Shabbat, people may nevertheless enter it, but only on weekdays. If a non-Jewish contractor was hired to build a synagogue somewhere other than in the land of Israel, and again, it's a difference between Israel and here, okay? And you'll be surprised when I'm about to read. And he continued his work on Shabbat days without the knowledge of the synagogue officers, the synagogue may be used afterward. Okay? Here's some leniency, and they did it without consulting, without asking. This is because of a combination of factors. First, everyone knows that contractors are hired on the basis of kablanut. Furthermore, no one would suspect the synagogue officer of instructing the non-Jew to work on Shabbat and build the synagogue in a forbidden manner. Right? There are other strong reasons to permit using this synagogue, and therefore everyone may enter it and pray there without question. There is no basis whatsoever to be stringent and refuse to use the synagogue. If the building site of the home or the field is outside of the city limits and beyond the Tchum Shabbat, the areas of Shabbat, so that there is no possibility of Jews passing by on Shabbat, or if it is in the city where only non-Jews reside, the workers may continue on Shabbat.
If it's a kablan type of.
Right. Well, let me ask you this: would you go to a synagogue that was built specifically on Shabbat and Yom Tov, including Yom Kippur? Would you go to such a place?
Yeah.
Even if we can find a lenient opinion that might not, right?
Obviously they knew that it was being constructed on those days, right?
Of course, we saw it with our own eyes. We could hear the. So, and imagine they have questions. They always have questions in the middle of building. Are you sure we want to put it here? Is this color? Is the right color? Can you move your car? It's ongoing job. It's ongoing work. How do you think you're going to have any blessing from such things? Yeah, exactly. Now, if one hires a non-Jew to clean the hallway of an apartment building regularly, okay, usually it doesn't come on Shabbat. One day he showed up on Shabbat and is working. Lights on, lights off, elevator, making a lot of balagan. Shabbat, usually it doesn't come on Shabbat. Should I tell him, hey, this is Shabbat today, can you please come back on Sunday, or I should leave him alone? If one hires non-Jews to clean the whole an apartment building regularly, and on one occasion the cleaner came and began mopping the floors on Shabbat, the residents of the building may let him finish his work, since no one asked him to do the work on Shabbat. Likewise, if there is a non-Jew in one's house, and after removing the food from the stove to serve it, the non-Jew decided on his own to shut the gas and turn off the fire, it is not necessary to stop him from doing so, since no one asked him to do it. And some synagogue even have a non-Jew worker coming every Shabbat or even living there. Before I came to Dallas, I used to live in Indianapolis, Indiana, and the synagogue has a very small house, outside of the synagogue, that a non-Jew lived there. You didn't have to tell him anything. You already knew the halachot. He never asked anybody. He knew to shut off, to turn off. He was always swapping the building to see, there's no light, you turn it on.
You know he's going to do it.
Huh?
There's a situation where you know he's going to come in and do things that are prohibited. The situation you described earlier was they decided on their own to turn up the gas and turn it up. That's one thing. But if this person knows every Shabbat he's going to turn it, you know he's going to come in.
What's the difference? Both cases he do it on his own.
No, yeah.
The difference, this one gets paid, the other one doesn't get paid. But the bottom line, they both do things on their own without telling them. Okay? So it's permitted.
If he gets paid, that's his job.
Okay, so what's the difference?
The other one's not getting paid. I mean, it's not.
So because he doesn't get paid, it's okay or not okay? Doesn't change the fact that they do it on their own. So it's okay to do that, and sometimes you see in places that are hosting a lot of people on Shabbat regularly, and they have non-Jews participating. They already know. They open their eyes to see if they need help. Sometimes they see, the sink is full, and they will help with the garbage disposal or something. You don't tell them anything, and they do. Yes, want to add something?
Okay.
Yeah.
If common problem in Cheers, you have a guy that comes to mow your yard, doing so weekly, and let's say he can't come Thursday or Friday because of the
Landscaper?
Landscaper, a yard guy. So guy comes.
Okay.
And he comes. So he shows up Shabbos morning. He's mowing your yard. You have to stop him.
No. Let him do. No. We just learned. No. What about the cleaning maid that she washing dishes and she decided on her own to place the dishes in a dishwasher and to turn it on Shabbat in your house?
What she wants to do. We didn't tell her.
Or to use the vacuum cleaner. It's Shabbat and you on Shabbat. Everybody here, I'm tired.
That's a problem. That's a problem. The noise it makes creates a problem.
And noise makes a problem. So I'll give you another scenario. I turn on the dryer before Shabbat. I will take it for, an hour and a half to finish the cycle. Or a laundry machine, okay? Makes noise. I come home. It was before Shabbat. I did it and I went to shul. After 45 minutes or an hour I came back. It's still another 30 minutes for the washer or dryer to finish. And I'm doing Kiddush and I hear the noise. Is that okay? Not okay? It's fine. It happens. We all started before Shabbat. Shouldn't be a problem. So what about the maid? If a non-Jew is instructed to wash dishes for Jews on Shabbat, and the non-Jew chooses on his own to use an electric dishwashing machine instead of doing it by hand, it is not necessary to prevent him from doing so. This is because the employer did not instruct him to use the machine and is entirely the non-Jew's choice. If one chooses to be stringent and not allow the use of the dishwashing machine, although the employee will charge more, one will receive a special blessing from heaven. So there's a room to yourself. It's permitted. First time, I thought, that's not the way I learned. The first time I saw it in my life, it was in Indianapolis. I hear noise on Shabbat. They vacuumed the synagogue after everybody left. And then I learned that it was permitted. Okay, you can choose not to. Will be best. Will be better. Better to avoid that because people mistakenly think that it's okay, and it leads to another confusion.
You just stated there that there was nobody there, and then they did it.
No, I didn't say that. There's nobody there.
After prayer.
Okay, it's not necessary for them to leave.
Okay, so they can do it. But in
You can
in your own home, even it's okay.
If it's what?
In your own house.
In your own house. The noise, the example I gave you with the machine, washer and dryer. Obviously, it's better not to.
Okay.
It's better not to, and to avoid. And even you see that you get a special blessing from that. And I don't know what's the big deal. I know people so rush to do it on Shabbat. You can clean in a permitted way without need all this noise on its own. Okay. I asked the non-Jew to go ahead and start do the dishes. Let's say there is no dishwasher. There's no dishwasher. But I know when she go in, she has to turn the light on because it's dark. It's okay. In the above case, one may instruct the non-Jew to wash the dishes even though the kitchen is dark. And it is obvious that the non-Jew will put on the lights in order to do the work. Again, no one instructed him or her to turn on the light, and he is doing it only for his own convenience. Likewise, one may instruct the non-Jew to fetch an item from another room, even though one knows that it is dark in that room. You can even trick the system. You want to have there, and you say, I need the book. Oh, he's going to turn the light on, and then you can tell him, don't worry about it, just leave it on. That's what I wanted to ask, right? It's a problem. It's not. It's as if you turn it on with. So we have to be careful when purchasing these kind of items. That they have voice control or clap control and that stuff like that. Huh? Well, motion sensor depends on what you're talking about. Alarm system, cameras, what?
Lights,
You walk into a
alarm.
room, it turns on.
Oh.
No, that's not permitted.
That's not-
But if you have cameras outside, we have it here in the show. So it's
No, I'm talking about lights.
no, you can't. If you turn purposely, you can't. If you pass by a street and every house has its own sensors and the light, this one light, it's permitted. It's permitted. Now the city is full of cameras and sensors, and otherwise we wouldn't be able to walk on the street. Okay, it's something. It's a topic we already discussed. It's okay. I don't want to go there, but in general, it's okay. Inside the house, it's a problem in certain ways.
Oh, so you cannot have sensor lights in the house?
You can use it during the week. If you have the ability to shut it off for Shabbat, do it. You should do it. Because what's the difference between turning the light with your finger and just walking to the room? It's going to work the same way, right?
Well, yeah.
The sensor will turn it on. Huh?
You activate it.
Yeah.
You know it's going to turn it.
But if the sensor doesn't,
Activate
the sensor's automatic.
Okay. Partnership. I have 5 minutes till 45. Yeah, we have almost 10 minutes. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about partnership between a Jew and a non-Jew. So the Halacha says, let me give you a short introduction. When a Jew and a non-Jew jointly own a beast of burden, beast of burden, you know what is that, right? A field, they own beast of burden, or a field, or a store. And the non-Jew wishes to perform melacha, to work with the animal or on the property. The Jew has no power to stop him. In the case of a beast of burden, however, the Torah forbids melacha to be performed with it since it belongs to a Jew, even if a non-Jew makes it do the melacha. For example, some people own a truck together, or a car, a business that owns cars. So what are you going to do? Can you use it on Shabbat? Can you use it on Shabbat? Why should he be limited because of you? Instead, the Jew should word the contract of their partnership in a manner that enables him to permit the animal to be used on Shabbat. If the partnership is in a field or store, the Jew stands to lose considerably because of Shabbat constraints. Okay? It is advisable to write the contract arranging the partnership so that the Jew retains his equal rights. Retains his equal right. This must be done under the supervision of a competent rabbi due to the complicated factors governing these rules. So we're going to learn the principle of this topic, but obviously there's a lot of questions, and we had to deal with these questions all the time, because we have here guys that own businesses in the mall with the kiosk, and they have partnership with non-Jews, and so we learn in general. Don't ask me question about specific case. If you want specific case, after we finish the class, okay? But let's learn the principle of this and how they can work together and yet get profits. Okay. Partnership between a Jew and a non-Jew. A Jew must see to it that his animals are not used for work on Shabbat, even if the animal is owned jointly by a Jew and a non-Jew. It is nevertheless prohibited, although there are some poskim who disagreed. One may not be lenient in this matter. Let's start off by saying this declaration. Now let's see how is it possible, in which way it's possible. If a Jew and a non-Jew are partners in a business, and the non-Jew insists on keeping the business open on Shabbat, he says, are you kidding me? The kiosk most active on Shabbat. It's the weekend. Everybody comes to buy at the mall on the weekend. And not only that, I think many malls on the contract, you have to sign that you have to open on Shabbat. Otherwise, they fine you or won't let you have a kiosk there. Okay, open on Shabbat. The best thing to do is to write a contract stipulating that the non-Jew will receive all the profit earned on Shabbat, and that the Jewish partner will receive all the profit of one of the 6 days. So I'm taking the Wednesdays, you're taking the Shabbat. Huh? Okay, it might not be equal. But there's a way, hold on, there's different ways. Hold on. The two will divide the profits earned during the remaining 5 days according to the term of their partnership. There's one way, there's different ways, okay? If in reality the profits earned on Shabbat are greater than those earned on the weekdays designated for the Jew, but the non-Jew does not mind dividing all the profit evenly, the Jew may take half of the profit of the business.
Including the Shabbat.
Yeah. There's even cases that they're not partners, but they work for him, like a manager or just a salesman. So what the guys doing, most of them do when they come to ask, they have a kiosk, have to keep it open, so we advise them to use the non-Jew salesman, calculate all the profits of Shabbat, and give from that profit his salary. Okay? So sometimes it's too much, sometimes it's not enough, so you have to give him some more. But when it works like that, it's best. If the partner do not make such a division of days in their contract, the non-Jew must be awarded all the profits earned on Shabbat, and the profit of all the weekdays must be divided evenly. If they are incapable of calculating the profits earned on Shabbat separately from those of the weekdays, they must tally the total profits and then sum, and separate a seventh of that total for the non-Jew. I don't need to bring an example, you got the idea, right? Then they divide the remaining 6/7 equally between them. All right?
But you said though, if the non-Jewish partner agrees to give part of the money from Shabbos to the...
Right. With partners, it would work a little bit differently because they can refuse, they don't like it, they don't like it. With an employee, you just offer them and tell them it's for you it makes no difference. If I have to give you at the end of the month $6,000, you get it regardless. For me as a Jew, I have to calculate it differently, and you put it in the contract. He doesn't care. You commit to give him a certain amount, so it's good. Usually they don't care. Any questions? Okay, so I have 2 minutes. Yes, go ahead.
So, you're saying there's no blessing on the Shabbat because...
There is no what?
I had a concept, that it said on Rosh Hashanah, you're calculated all your earnings for that year. So it doesn't matter, you're going to make the same amount during the week, Bachol, and then Shabbat, it won't matter because it's just doing extra work and you're thinning out the blessing.
Right? If you think that way, so there's no problem. Just give them nothing that way. Not everybody follow this declaration of the Talmud.
They don't have that emunah.
Right, they don't have that emunah. And so you can give it up. I agree with you because it's already determined how much you get from Rosh Hashanah till Yom Kippur. And it says another place from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah. But it's not only that. because it's except the expenses of Shabbat, holidays, Chodesh, and Torah expenses, so sending your children to a Torah, private school, and all that. God will make sure you get the money, the extra money that you pay, you'll get it back.
Amen.
It's outside of what's already determined that you'll get. Because expenses for these things, Hashem says, I'm going to take care of you. So don't, as I said many times, don't be stingy. Shabbat, buy the best things, the best food, the best meat. Say, this is for the sake of Shabbat. Remember, we've learned that as soon as you say about a product, or let's say food, that this is for the sake of Shabbat, immediately the holiness of Shabbat rests on this food, even if you said it on Sunday or Monday or any day of the week. And this food is better, healthier, and will taste a little bit better than regularly. There's already Kedusha in it. That's the power of speech in Judaism. It's a very, very powerful tool. So, right. So don't be afraid to spend as much as according to your ability, right? Don't go crazy and buy crazy stuff. So it won't be an issue. Okay, we don't have time for that. I'm just going to read the title and we'll deal with that Be'ezrat Hashem next week. It's about renting or leasing a property to either a secular Jew or to a non-Jew. For example, let's say a secular Jew. You know that we're not supposed to use our own property for Chilul Shabbat, desecrating the Shabbat, right? So what if I have an apartment that I want to lease, and a Jew wants to sign the contract, but I know that he's not keeping Shabbat. He's not Shabbat observant. And he's going to turn light on and off and music. It will be much Shabbat desecration in that apartment. Can I lease such person the apartment, or should I prefer a non-Jew? A non-Jew can do it. It's a question, right? Bet Shammai on Shabbat, Tractate Shabbat 17b, held that a Jew must not allow his possessions to perform any act of melacha on Shabbat, even if operated by a non-Jew, or it's set up to perform the melacha automatically. The Halacha, however, follows the opinion of Beit Hillel. Thus, it is permissible to allow one's inanimate possession perform acts of melacha on Shabbat. This will be discussed further in Siman 252 that Be'ezrat Hashem will do next week. Very interesting topic, right? This is something we're dealing every Shabbat and we don't pay attention to them. And I wish you a wonderful week. Be'ezrat Hashem, class tomorrow about Erev Rav. Huh? There is in the Goldstein's house, 6:15. Tomorrow, what is tomorrow? Wednesday. Yes, tomorrow. Dawn is waiting for us over there, Be'ezrat Hashem. Right after davening, 6:15 is the class. You don't want to miss it. It's about the Erev Rav. It's a Be'ezrat Hashem. It's a very interesting topic, the Messianic days and all that. Shavua Tov.